one of my dear friends. Are we ready to move the ball? On three. 1, 2, 3. Move that ball! We got to try that again. Where were you? 1, 2, 3. Move that ball!
Thank you, girls.
Let's turn to page 9. Susan Miller comes to us as owner and operator of the Rolling Pin Bakery and Deli. They're well known for their wonderful breads. So Susan's making a fun pizza dough with meat sauce. Again, page 9. Let's welcome Susan.
Thank you. Are you having fun yet? Awesome. Radio station knows how to put on a show. You guys always do well. All right. We are going to try to do this in fast-forward motion. We may go too fast, but you can always ask questions later. Rachel's going to start browning a ground beef. Now make sure you have a good lean ground beef. We like to get ours from the Oklahoma Food Co-op or right here in our local Dean from Price's Meat Market, and he never disappoints with quality. After your meat starts to turn color just a little bit, Rachel's going to add 1 chopped onion, 1 chopped green pepper, and 3 to 4 cloves of garlic. Now you can add more or less depending on what you like. We're going to let her continue to work on that, and we're going to move over to the pizza dough. Now pizza dough is a lot easier than you might think it is, and so that's why we chose this recipe. We want to make it easy enough that you can try this at home. Now Dustin's already prepared our yeast, and you can see it's already starting to foam. We have 1.5 cups of warm water. Make sure you don't get it too hot or it'll kill the yeast. You can always test it by filling it on the inside of your wrist. It should be just slightly warmer than room temperature. We added 1 tablespoon of instant yeast made by Saf, and then we also added 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. You can add any sweetener you like. We just prefer the taste and the texture of the brown sugar. When he was in school, we experimented with different things. We even tried apple juice, we tried soda, all kinds of things. This was our favorite. All right, Dustin has added 3 cups of unbleached flour. Let me back up just 1 minute. Prepare this, give this about 5 to 10 minutes to start bubbling. And once you see the bubbles, you know the yeast is good and it's ready to use. Now, if you're one of those cooks that's exact measure, you're going to have to loosen up just a little bit. Be a little this, a little that. Because what you're going for is texture, and the humidity and the temperature will change how much flour that you're going to put in here. So we're going to start with 3 cups, and then you're going to just keep adding it. And I'll show you the texture as we get closer. You're wanting something that's very, very soft, but not quite sticky, just almost. All right, we're going to go ahead and add the yeast. 1 tablespoon of your sweetener, which we added this brown sugar, and 1.5 cups of warm water. Dustin is adding a tablespoon of kosher salt. You can use any salt you like. Sea salt is good. I prefer the kosher salt because it doesn't have those additives to it, and the taste, I think, is cleaner. Now this recipe, you can mix it by hand if you like. I kind of like my mixer and my dough hook, but you can do it either way. You want to turn it on low and just let it start to incorporate. And as it starts to kind of clean the edge of the bowl, you'll just add a little bit more flour. You'll know it's ready to test when it isn't sticking to the bottom of the bowl. If you add too much flour and it's too dry, not a problem. Just add a little bit more water, and it's pretty forgiving. This recipe, you can make the sauce and the pizza dough the night before, put it in the refrigerator, let this rise overnight, and then when you get home from work or if you're in a hurry, pull out your pizza dough, pull out your cold sauce. You've got dinner in like 30 minutes. It's pretty awesome. You can also use the sauce on a pot of spaghetti and make it like a cheese bread or a French loaf out of this dough, and that's also a quick meal. And I don't know about you, but life gets busy, and if you can go home and make a quick meal and it's homemade, that's even better. All right, while that's mixing, as it gets dry, Dustin will keep adding a little bit of flour. Let's come over here and look at the meat sauce. You can see it starting to brown just a little bit. Now's the time to start adding herbs. Now, Evan's Nursery fixed us up with 4 of my favorite herbs. We have a basil, a rosemary, oregano, and thyme. If you haven't started growing herbs, you should try it. Grow them in pots. It's a great way to make your dishes go from great to fabulous. Now, for this sauce, it's going to simmer for about a half hour to 45 minutes, or you can even let it simmer for 2 hours. You want to use the dried herbs for the simmering because those are far too delicate. So into this pan, now this is fresh rosemary. I prefer to use fresh rosemary. It's a little bit heartier, and so it'll hold up in the sauce, and I think the flavor is better fresh than dried. If I can get the lids off here. All right, and pretty soon you'll start to smell the aroma of these herbs. I put about a teaspoon and a half of salt, but start small on the salt. You can always add more. You can't take it out, obviously. And also using kosher salt, just because I like the flavor. Here I have 1 teaspoon of oregano. Oregano is one of those very versatile herbs. It's good in almost everything. And here, if you have your own blends, you always, you want to put basil. It's just pretty easy if you get the Italian herb seasonings already mixed. Now, there you go. Can you smell that yet? I'm going to give you these. All right. If you can see the bottom of the pan, you'll start to see it starting to color a little bit on the bottom of the pan. That's a good thing. Once you get the meat where it's completely browned, then you're going to take about a quarter cup to a half a cup of red wine. And when you put the red wine in at this stage, it's going to clean all those lovely flavors off the bottom of the pan. And if wine is not your thing, don't worry, the alcohol will cook out of it. Okay, you just pour the wine in and then you just stir it around until the pan is completely clean again. Did we forget something? We forgot the pepper. Can't forget the pepper. And you use about a half a teaspoon of the pepper, and you can do more or less as you like. Let this cook for a few minutes longer, and then you're going to add your tomatoes into the sauce, cover, lower the temperature, and let it simmer. Now we've used crushed tomatoes. That's my preferred choice for this sauce. You can use diced tomatoes. You can use tomato sauce. Please don't use tomato paste, that little stuff that's all condensed and kind of tastes like a metal can. That's not what I prefer. All right, we're going to let Rachel finish this up, and let's take a look at our dough. It's coming together nicely, doesn't it? It looks like we might have added a little bit too much water, and that's okay. Let's go ahead and take this out. Let's see. You have to know how to work the machine, right? Ah, look, here, this piece right here. See how I pinch it and it doesn't stick to my fingers? That's a good sign. So you're going to pull it out of the pan.
What's that it's on? Is that like a hook, or what do you call it?
This is the dough hook that comes with the mixer.
Thank you.
If you don't want to use the mixer, this is your dough hook. Didn't you love Jory? All right. The mixer kind of left the top sticky and the bottom a little drier, so we're just going to take the heels of our hand, press it into the dough, and just keep turning it over and pressing it and pulling it into the center. And as you can see, it's kind of sticking just a little bit, but part of it's dry. Now, if you do this by hand, you're going to want to do this. You're going to want to knead this for a little while. And it should be nice and smooth. All right. What do you think? Was that difficult? No. It's great. This is about, believe it or not, enough dough for 2 pizzas. So we're going to take this dough, split it into 2 pieces, and just form it into a flat disc. Now, did you notice we didn't add oil to the dough? The dough, when you add the oil to the dough, makes it a little softer. This makes it a little chewy. But you're going to take a nice good olive oil, cover both sides. Now, if you want to fix this the same day, you're going to want to let it rise for about 45 minutes to an hour until it's doubled in size. We're going to put it in this Ziploc. You can put it in a bowl, whatever you have handy. Just make sure whatever you put it in, the dough is about a third of this volume size. Otherwise, you'll have a mess. And that's all there is to it. Now, I have a piece of dough that I've prepared ahead of time that's already risen, just so you can kind of have a look at it. Can you see the texture? Can you see the little bubbles? And it is bigger. Believe it or not, it was that size when we started. The way to tell if it's ready is just take your finger, press down, and if the dent stays in it, it's ready. Then you're going to want it very, very carefully. You don't want to disturb the bubbles too much. Now, this has become one of my favorite things, parchment paper. I'm kind of a less is more cook. Less dirty dishes, more fun in the kitchen.
My kind of girl.
All right. I am going to cook this on a pizza stone. And so what you need to do before you do your crust is you're going to preheat your oven to 450 degrees. And if you're using a stone, go ahead and put your stone in the oven while you're cooking at it. All right. You have your dough in a nice flat circle.
We had a question over here, something about oil? Do you oil the stone?
You don't oil the stone. The dough will not stick to the stone. The stone is preheated 450 degrees, and the pizza will slide right off. Now, I've simplified things quite a bit. I take this parchment, I oil the parchment, and then once my pizza is formed, I trim the edges off, slide my pizza pill underneath it, and just slide the whole parchment onto the stone. It's made for the oven, it doesn't burn, it makes cleanup easy, it's very easy. Okay, take your fingers and on the outside edge, just put a little rim that kind of helps keep the shape a little better, and then just continue to push and stretch until you get to the right size. Now the dough is very fragile at this point. I'm not one of those cooks that flips it in the air and, stretches it. This is far easier. There you go. You've got pizzas ready to go. And they love making pizza. We've hosted lots of pizza parties at our house and at the bakery. You can have birthday parties where you make individual crusts, put all your toppings on the table, let your kiddos make their pizzas. It's great fun. Now these guys are going to decorate this pizza with the sauce that we had simmering. We already made some pre-made sauce, and so they're going to put one together for you. Now this is a great way to use up leftovers. If you had sausage and onions the night before, it's awesome. One of my favorite pizzas is spread a layer of olive oil with chopped garlic. Then you cut your fresh herbs, sprinkle that over the olive oil. Garden fresh tomatoes. Farmer's market starts in May. Take thin slices of tomato, cover the bottom of it, and put your cheese on, and then on top, add other toppings. If you like pepperoni, if you like jalapenos, put a few onions. The onions kind of caramelize in the oven. Makes it fabulous.
Susan, introduce your staff.
Oh, yeah, see, I knew I was going to forget something. Most of you already know them. My wonderful, competent staff. We have Michael Boer, Dustin Miller, Rachel Hackler, and Shelby Lowe. All right, now if you don't have a pizza pill, that's fine. This is an old jelly roll pan, and I just bent the edge down, and it works great. You don't have to store another dish. So you just trim the edges. Are you guys finished yet? Let's pick up the pace here. Haven't they been wonderful? This is the team that I take when we go anywhere. They're the team that you can just look at them and they're on it. They're awesome. Take your scissors, trim around the outside edges just to make it easier. Okay, you've preheated your oven to 450 degrees. You have an oven stone. Take the edge, slide it under the parchment. How easy is that? Not awesome? All right. Then when you go to your oven, you're going to want to take the edge of the peel, put it all the way to the back on the edge, and you just shake it off and pull this out at the same time. And you've got 10 minutes. You've got a fabulous pizza. You have dinner. I'm going to have to update my oven, definitely. Well, I think that one will fit in my car. We can make that happen. You guys have been wonderful. Thank you so much. And if you have questions, talk to the baby. If you have a question.
Now, before she hands off, I just want to give Susan a big round of applause and a big thank you because she was one of our first supporters when we talked about doing this new show. In your bag, she's also got a little stuffer where you can take it in to win a free pie. You can choose the flavor and choose the date you want to pick it up. So be sure to go see her, have some lunch, have some breakfast. Maybe you can make the pizza.